Hey guys, as you can see from the title, this is me and my friends playing a session of Age of Sigmar Soulbound, the Age of Sigmar role-playing game. Just a bit of a note before we start out. This game had some technical difficulties, so you might notice some weird transitions every once in a while due to cuts, as well as there's like a 3 to 4 minute chunk with no video, but there's a nice splash plays instead, so, you know, at least there's that. But don't worry, the video comes back eventually. Just wanted to give you a bit of warning before this video starts out. If you like it and would like to see more stuff like it in the future, please, as I'm going to give you the spiel, like, subscribe, comment, press the little bell, etc., so that YouTube sends more of this stuff to other people. And if you're inclined, you have the cash, and if you really like this, please consider sending a little cash to my Ko-fi or Patreon account so that I can keep doing the stuff I love. And one final note, my friends and I have been part of a podcast called Fanable for like 10 years, where we play just a ton of different role-play games. If you like the way we work together in this particular game, consider checking it out. It's something we just love to do on the side. And like I said, it has 10 years of content, so 10 years of different episodes. One of them you might enjoy. Link is in the show notes. Anyway, welcome to the story of the Duardin of Underrot. In the Age of Myth, the Grogar was a well-established lodge in the realm of Shaman, with reliable mercenaries who were less prone to price gouging than other Fireslayer lodges, seeming to care more for the fight than getting the Urgold they required. They lived in the Pharaoh's Forest, a large woodland covered in metallic trees and strange metal life forms, a form of life that attracted the wandering eye of the god of disease, Nurgle. In a wave of decay, the forces of Nurgle swarmed through the land, corrupting all they touched and turning the beautiful forest into a blood-red plain now called the Rustlands. The members of the Grogar Lodge eventually chose to hide, not completely, as they still needed to fight as mercenaries to earn Urgold, but hidden from those above. This was the way of things, until the Duardin of Kilek arrived. Once a small city housing many humans in Duardin, it was ransacked by the forces of chaos and the city's residents were forced to flee. Along the way, most of the humans either chose to go their own way, or sadly became corrupted by chaos, forcing the Duardin to put down their now chaos-tainted friends. A sad but necessary duty. When these Duardin arrived at the Grogar Lodge, they demanded entrance, and held up an ancient scroll, the Soulbound Compact, an oath whose details were long lost to history, but whose binding was clear. In times of need, the two factions of Duardin needed to aid each other. The Fireslayers begrudgingly accepted this, and allowed them entrance. The Duardin of Kilek lived amongst the Fireslayers, and the two groups tried their best to get along. That was the way of things, until a skyport crash-landed nearby. Barrack Dren was a small skyport, housing only a few hundred Duardin of the Caradron overlords, and thus was ill-equipped when a flying horde of thousands of strange beasts assaulted the city. Forced to crash land, the skyport was then beset by the demonic forces of Nurgle on the surface, and the survivors had to flee, eventually finding the Grogar Lodge and the Duardin that lived there. They were reluctantly accepted, and these proud Sky Duardin were forced to live underground. With 3 factions of Duardin within this underground city, now unofficially called Underrot, they formed a new pact, called the Compact of Rust, each faction swearing to share their strength so that they may eventually rid the lands above the taint of chaos. An action which would allow the Duardin of Kilek and Barrack Dren to leave the home of the Grogar Lodge, and hopefully never see or speak to each other ever again. With the coming of the Age of Sigmar, and the forces of order resurgent, that time may soon arrive. Hey guys, this is Arvandus, and We are here for a very special episode. What some of you may or may not know is I'm actually part of a role-playing podcast called Fanable. On Fanable, we play a wide variety of role-playing games, and some of the members, many of them, with all of my friends. I'm very tired. It is like 9:30 right now. It is very hot. I don't have an air conditioner, as you cannot hear.
This is the seventh take, so
seventh take. But anyway, I play role-playing games with many of my friends. Some of them here, and I somehow convinced them to play a game of Age of Sigmar Soulbound. I don't know if we're still going to be friends after this game, but we're going to find out.
So weirdest way to pronounce Vampire the Masquerade, but I mean, that's what I was told I got to play, and so here we are. I got the D10s, I'm ready.
Okay, so before we start, I need to say two things. Number one, this is our first time playing this game. I went through the game. I'm trying my best, but we're going to get rules wrong. We're sorry. Yeah. We're going to get some lore wrong because we're tired, and besides me, my friends know basically next to nothing about the lore of Age of Sigmar. So basic gist is I had to give them a rundown, but they're gonna screw up some stuff. I'm gonna screw up some stuff. We weren't listening. Well, you know, that's fair.
I know nothing, and I refuse to learn.
We were also drinking at the time, so that's probably a good reason why that happened. But hopefully we're gonna have fun. And for this particular story, if things had worked out, there was probably an intro video before this recording. We're basically showing like about where they come from, but all three of them are Duardin from an underground sort of community called Underrot, originally of what was the name of your lodge again, Billy?
Grogar.
Of the Grogar Lodge, but it's expanded begrudgingly because of various reasons. That's all in the video. So, this particular story is about these three Duardin. One of the Fire Slayers, one of the Caradron Overlords, and one of those guys.
Yeah.
Technically of the Dispossessed, yes. And basically they're
unaffiliated.
Yeah, they were sent off
Fire Lord, Caradron, and Dave.
And they were sent out to become soulbound and basically work for the forces of order, work for Azir, so that hopefully down the line, because to be honest, there's not really a bunch of priority for your section of Shaman. Some would call more important places in the realms that they have to fight the forces of chaos, but hopefully eventually they'll come your way so that you can recover your skyport, recover your lodge, find a new place to live, because even though you're united together as Duardin, y'all kind of really don't like working together, generally.
Yeah. Oh, they've insulted our people. And there will be a reckoning once we get done having a reckoning. Or my people, we're really big in the reckoning. So
yeah, what reckoning are we on right now? 7, 8?
The reckoning, the seventh one. So
okay. Got it. Yeah, got to keep a list.
Listen, once 9th edition starts of the reckoning, it's gonna be on.
We have a list.
There, yeah. So basically, you guys went off to get soulbounded. You all three somehow survived the process because it's A, extremely painful, and B, there's a good chance you could die during the process. On the plus side,
thank God we made that roll, but that would have been the shortest character.
That would be the best opening of just being like, oh, so Dave, you didn't make it. I'm sorry, what? and my screen just goes black. Yeah. So sorry we had to lose Dave, but
yep. So you guys went on to fight against your first mission was to find an artifact. We're gonna say it was you heard stories of the heart of a great beast that you realize from your research, Dave, you realize could be used for some sort of medicinal purposes, but you're not sure what. But you need to find it, and you found out it was in an old ruin protected by the Khorne blood that was under a small camp of the Khorne bloodbound. So you need to go over there and basically either sneak in or fight them or find out a way to fight them. So basically, what I'm going to ask from each of you.
First question.
Shoot.
What's a corn?
Oh, right.
Big in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I am literally picturing a giant head of corn saying, I'm corn on macabre.
Oh, okay.
I'm hard to digest.
Okay, so this is
I told you guys about hee-haw?
Yeah. So Khorne is one of the gods of chaos. And Khorne is sort of like the god of violence and blood and destruction. And his followers are the same, where basically the only thing that matters is fighting and destruction and killing things around you. And
orcs.
Yeah, sort of like, yeah, but human orcs, essentially. Billy, who is your character? and I want you to tell me about your character, and then I want you to explain how did you approach these Khorne Bloodbound. Dan, I want you to
Yes.
say how did it go wrong, and David, explain your character. I want you to say how did you survive and basically resolve the situation.
Okay. Hey, everybody. This is Billy, and I am playing Mulgar Stone Breath. And I am a Duardin of the Fire Slayer. We are big into lava, big into rocks, and big on into reckonings. So the history of my character is fairly simple. I was a weapons forger turned into a warrior when the city required us to defend our territory from the god of disease.
Yeah, Nurgle.
Yes.
Nurgle. Basically, your top side is basically just. It was full of it was really originally called the Pharos Forest, where basically it was like metal trees and stuff like that. And then the god of Nurgle came in and basically rusted everything. So it's now known as the Rustlands.
Yep. And of course, I had a beautiful wife, Grilda, who we swore an oath that we would die together with our backs pressed against each other. And during a massive battle with the forces of disease and filth, we both were slain, but the damn doctors brought me back. And because I survived, that dishonors both myself, but more importantly, my wife. So she is without honor currently. But if I have a worthy enough death, I cannot ever gain the honor for myself. That's long gone. But I can honor my wife and give her honor back to her family. So Mulgar is looking for the ultimate sacrifice. And I'll be honest, he did not find it with these Khorne bloodbound bastards. He approached them, honestly, and he told, of course, Dave and Dan's character that he had a plan. And his plan was to walk straight into the camp. And instead of threatening, like they thought, like, oh, he's going to threaten, talk to them, do something. He literally just dove into battle, attacking the first one. As the guys walked up, and he's like, you're a little short, aren't you? And he cut off his legs. And he's like, no, you're a little short. And it was just a massacre. So from the get-go, my character just mucked it all up by just going full on Duardin. Is that what you're looking for, Dave? Dan? Jesus?
Yes.
Are you not entertained?
I am definitely entertained.
No plan survives contact with the Duardin. Even plans made by the Duardin.
Especially. So I guess I'm next, and I say how things went wrong. So hey, guys, this is Dan, and I'm playing Jax Forgehand, an Indran master from the Caradron Empire.
Caradron Overlords.
Caradron Overlords. There we go. I'm a part of the Caradron Overlords, which basically are mech dwarves. They usually fly around in cities in the sky. My particular citadel / battle Skyport. There we go. Words. Happened to crash into the settlement where Billy's character had made their life due to events and reasons.
There will be a reckoning.
Yeah, sure. And and
you just step out of your downed dirigible, and one of Billy's characters' clan comes over to you, just crisply hands you a bill for a reckoning. It's like, that'll be one reckoning. We'll see you in a few.
Oh no, it's like a number. Like he's number 10. So get in line.
Ding, ding.
Please take a number for your reckoning. And during this combat with the Khorne guys, there was blood. There was chaos, as we saw. My character, kind of like that. My character, again, he comes from a proud people who are into engineering and invention and creation. So of course he wasn't just going to wade in with a hammer and start hitting things, although that is a thing that he can and will do at the drop of a hat. But in this case, he'd actually he had a little invention that he had been working on for a while that nobody really seemed to take seriously, which is an automatic cabbage picking machine. Turns out there are no cabbages underground in this city, so the machine was generally considered useless and mocked by anybody who saw it. But he knew it had potential because you see, corn soldier heads are about the same size as cabbage, and he figured, okay, here we go. Finally, my machine's going to shine. So he unleashed it onto the battlefield, where it immediately went awry because while corn soldier heads are about the same size of a cabbage, they are not quite the same consistency. And there were explosions. There were explosions that were not planned for in places where we were not expecting them, and things were dire for a bit.
Somewhere there's that cabbage picking machine looking for more heads.
Yeah, they say to this day it still hunts for cabbage.
I just see it slowly approaching like a daycare, and we're like, "Oh no!"
It's like you just look at the small like sliding reticle, and it's just like cabbages, extra large cabbages, all the way to the right. Reckoning. Why does everything have a reckoning setting?
Hey, if you live in my territory, you live by our rules.
It's part of the treaty that we made. Yeah.
It's all you, David.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the question to me?
How did you resolve this? How were you able to salvage the situation?
Okay, so hi everybody, it's Dave, and I'm playing Garnet Copper Buckle. Garnet is not there specifically for open warfare. We've got that covered. Not there for any sort of assistance mechanically. That's been covered in a sense very well, if not horrifically. So what do we got? We got front lines combat taken care of. We've got intellectual and psychological warfare being waged against both sides. Really, that robot is just horrifying and just a nightmare creature. And
I just introduced a third side to the whole conflict.
You did. And I'm balancing between Duardin and Team Robot at this point.
You know, it's pretty bad when Korn says like, "Oh my God, monsters."
What? There are rules. And so, but the point of the entire excursion is to get this creature's heart. And we can fight Korn forever. And in fact, the prophecies say that we will. So what my character was doing was sneaking sounds cowardly. Really what it was is it was a covert operation through enemy lines to find the heart of this great beast and to capture it or get it. Now, that wasn't too much of a problem. Everybody was busy with either their various reckonings or with the giant monster machine. The creature, though, still lived. It was part mechanical and part flesh, fused together in a horrifying orgy of blasphemy. So, with some quick thinking, my character decided if one horrifying machine gets introduced and it seems to be going so well, it wasn't, but that was my assessment at the time, then introducing this horrifying, again, orgy of blasphemy would only improve things. So instead of attacking the guards or killing the creature, he unlocked the massive padlocks that were keeping it stationary and set it free into just a large, lumbering, multi-mod, horrifying irony creature to devour Korn's soldiers and also maybe the Duardin. It went fine. Korn's creatures fought mostly the creature, and then their heads would be chopped off by the cabbage machine. The cabbage machine, having weaponized these heads at this point due to a small inconsistency with weight and distribution of the heads, was then throwing those heads at more Korn soldiers. So really, the war was won by dwarves through utilizing everyone else on the battlefield. And when it was all over, there was naught but blood and corn pieces. Just little kernels, if you will, of corn soldiers. everywhere. Was it the most decisive, glorious victory? No one needs to answer that.
No.
We were the only ones who survived.
And that's all that matters, really. I mean,
Yeah, I
some
can
of
see
you,
at one point I was facing the creature that we're supposed to take the heart of, and I'm like, finally! And suddenly out from the side comes your damn machine, Dan, and cuts its head right off. And I'm like, damn it!
Meanwhile, Korn's followers are just straight up using goblin sappers, like suicide bombing, like everybody, like it is bedlam. And there's a point where all of us stand still, and the fight is happening irregardless of the fact that we are there. like people are just attacking each other's teams, whatever. Real quick, would you gentlemen care to rename your boxes on the video feed for your characters' names?
Yeah.
So that I wrote them down, but we all know I'm going to forget.
Oh yeah.
them.
Not a problem.
Jack's Forge Hand.
And as you guys do that, I'll explain where you guys are at. So
I'm
after
sorry,
that particular,
did you say Jack's 4chan?
Yeah.
Forge Hand.
Yeah.
where is
I
your
heard
mind at, buddy?
4chan. And I
Oh,
was
no,
like, can we
no.
talk about your naming scheme?
No, not so much. No. Also, although speaking of naming schemes, Jesus, I would like to take this moment to vote that we name this whole episode Orgy of Blasphemy.
I'll consider it.
Yeah.
All right, so
That won't get him dinged on YouTube. Make sure to
It'll
smash
get you
that
an
like
audience.
button like we smashed that orgy. What?
It'll get you an audience. Not
Well,
maybe the
that's
one you were
true.
expecting.
That will, yeah. So anyway, after that particular mission, you were sent back. You went back to Azir. You went to that particular merchant who suggests you go for that particular heart. And after giving it to him and getting a substantial amount of cash money, one could say, and honor and intrigue, you received a letter from your from Underrot, your home. Now, some of you expected never to go back. Either A, because you were going to die horribly out there in the various realms, or B, maybe because you never wanted to go back, depending. But this is a call for all of you, a call for the binded, the soulbounded, you guys. And you have to answer the call, which is particularly harsh for one of you, the Doomseeker, because you swore an oath not to return. You know, for a letter like this, there's an exception, but still, some people are not going to look nice to you about this.
Well, I broke one oath, so what's another?
Ooh, for Duardin, that's so harsh. And you guys start walking through Azir towards to Akshai, first the fire plane, and from that fire plane, you travel. Takes a couple of days to another realm gate, a realm gate that you know, and realm gates are like. They have differing shapes, but generally they look like these large circular or rectangular portals.
Stargates.
They're
You're going to say Stargates. You're going to describe a Stargate. There is no way it is not a Stargate.
Okay. Some of them are rectangles. So it might be like it's square.
A door. You're describing a door.
Magic
it's a
doors,
door or a
okay? You
Stargate?
happy? You happy?
door?
They're
Okay,
magic
cool.
doors. They're magic doors. Get the fuck out. No, but no. You go through a realm gate. And you go and you're in around the area of your home, around the beginning parts of the Rustlands, and you begin traveling, the three of you, traveling towards home, through what used to be, as I said before, the Fairest Forest. And during the Age of Myth, these were massive forests with stories upon stories high, trees made of various types of metal with various bizarre creatures, which your lodge, Billy, had a home. And you were, at least for this particular area, the premier mercenaries, because that's how Fyreslayers gain their Urgold. By being mercenaries, hire themselves off as mercenaries to various factions.
And Urgold is our currency?
For the Fyreslayers, it's their black magic metal that gives them their powers.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah. But now, because of Nurgle, these various forests are now just the Rustlands, full of basically just a rust desert. With a few, the odd tree, the odd plain, but it's very hard to hide. And as you're there traveling, I need all of you to give me.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, we're gonna.
So it begins.
It's already going poorly.
I need all of you to give me $5 if you don't want your characters to die.
That would be the
You have my Venmo.
all of you give me awareness tests. Difficulty, I just need one dice with a 4 or higher.
Is it a mind, body, soul?
It's going to be for this is going to be mind.
So we just roll our
So it'd be your
mind.
mind attribute plus your dots in awareness.
Cool. And how many?
You
Just
need
one,
one success of 4 or higher.
Okay. So I got 4 dice, and I am rolling them. Ooh, I got a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 1.
Okay.
I got a
All right,
2 and a 1.
Give me a second, everybody. All right, so I would be adding.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, what stat did you say this was?
It'd be mind plus awareness. So your number in mind plus the dots you have in awareness.
Okay. All right, so in my awareness is 1.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be 4 dice. Sorry, using a roller because I actually don't have D6s here, which is horrible. And I got, so 5 or higher?
4 or higher.
2 successes.
All right, yeah, more than enough.
Got 3.
Those who succeed, looking
Yes.
up, you see in your path, because as you're going through the plains in the general direction of where you're supposed to go, you see shambling the form of these large humanoid, about 6 feet tall, but they're sort of bloated, and you see on some of them there's this they're cyclopean creatures with these horns attached, and you recognize them because they're a threat in these plains as they have been taken over by Nurgle. Plague bearers, 3 of them, just shuffling along but these are colored differently than the regular plague bearers. Most of the time they're just like a sickly green, but because they're part of the rust lands, they also look sort of like, well, the rust that encompasses them. They're Nurgle demon-like creatures, and they're shuffling along, and it looks like they haven't noticed you yet.
Discretion is the better form of valor. So my character would tug at everyone else. Now is not the time to fight 3 perfectly, let alone plague bearers. And how can we get back? How can we get back home to the calling if we have, for instance, no legs? Or what is that they're hanging there? Heads. I don't know about you, gentlemen, but I cannot meet the council without my head.
You speak too much. Your tongue wags in your mouth as if it was a eel stuck in a fire slayer's trap.
I'm
Just
not
say
hearing
we
no,
do
though.
not wish to fight.
All right.
Yeah,
I don't wish to fight.
Jax kind of puts his armor-plated hand on Garnet's shoulder. Like, so your first mistake there was using the F word around Allmauer. Fight.
I do not fight unworthy prey. A plague bearer is simply a plague, and he is willing to hide if you guys want to do a stealth roll.
Yeah, that's the idea. I'm looking at pictures of plague bearers right now. I'm not fighting these even in make-believe.
I mean, I'll give you honestly, my stealth is terrible. But
Oh, yeah,
I will do it.
And I linked what they look like for the rest of you.
Oh boy.
Nope, I'm picturing attractive ladies.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
All right, because they basically
God, those are so
they're
gross.
disgusting creatures, and because their awareness is pretty low, their main attribute is they're pretty tough. So I need, for your stealth rolls, I just needed one success of a 4 or higher.
Does it give me minuses if I don't have anything?
No
in
minuses in this. Yep.
Wait.
No,
So
basically
this is body?
would be a mind. You'll
Mind,
do it.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Dice.
Oh,
What happened?
let's talk about how we reroll. I got 4 1s.
Wow.
Oh wow!
I don't know if there's a botch in this game. I'm hoping
But you,
not.
you just discovered it.
If there is, as far as I can read, there is no botch rule.
Oh, I love
So
this game.
you're fine. You're fine. Well, at least you failed, so you're not super fine.
I felt super hard.
Let's go back to metal because you're going to need it.
I actually rolled 1 dice and I got a 6. Like, surprisingly so. I have 1 dice in mind. So you David, okay, let's hide. And then you look back and I'm just gone.
Yep.
I have 3 dice and I rolled 2 6s and a 2.
Fuck
So-
both of you.
Don't you have don't you have the most points in stealth, Garnet Carbobot?
No, I just got the one. But
Oh.
I mean,
That's the most that out of the group. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any stealth. So
Yeah,
Dan,
and
so
mine-
Neither do
I
I.
vanish into a tree. Dan like hits the side of his armor and goes predator mode. And Garnet's like, okay, guys, I've been thinking this is how we get
Yeah.
ourselves in mud. Oh, guys.
I am still talking as you guys disappear into the night.
Surprising.
That is hilarious. Okay.
All right, so metal.
So metal. With metal, you can take an extra action because you only have the 1 point. You can take an extra action. Use a talent or miracle, double your training, double your focus. So it does not help you reroll. You can use Soulfire, but Soulfire is a group pool, which you can use to do important stuff. But unlike metal, it doesn't instantly come back each round. It's something that has to come back over time. So basically, you'd be wasting the group's Soulfire for this game. You only have 3 for this entire session.
So I'm not going to do that. Could I use metal to take a second action and then take a second stealth action?
I'll allow it this time, but the difficulty is increased to 5.
Okay, cool.
Fair.
Sounds good.
Tough but fair.
Oh
many
shit,
ones?
much better. How did I get negatives? I got a 6 and a 5.
Okay, yeah. You're able to stealth away. You almost stumble right into the Plague Bearers, Garnet, but because their eyesight is so poor and they just don't notice as they pass by.
I like throw a rock and I cannot believe it works. I cannot believe it works as they look off to where the rock landed.
Yeah, and they shuffle off. All right, and you continue on your journey. And eventually you go to the hidden spot in the Rustlands where you know is the grand entrance to the Underrot. What is the secret knock?
Oh, it's not a secret knock. This isn't a clubhouse. What we do is near the. This is a giant mountain, but not even a mountain. It's a dormant volcano, and they have these. In the side of the wall is covered in. They're called like micro. They're basically small steam holes that just line this entire wall. And what you need to do is put your hand through the proper vent, reach in and grab like this old iron ring and twist it and turn it. And if you grab the wrong one, because there are hundred of them, it cuts off your arm. But if you grab the one that's the proper right one, it opens up a small door.
And then cuts off your arm.
Yeah, of course. Well, there's always an arm thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And with that, you hear the clanking of Caradron Overlord engineering, as basically the door slowly opens, and you see before you a long, dark corridor.
Mulgar definitely pauses before he steps in. There's a brief flash of uncertainty, as if he's afraid that the moment he puts his foot on that floor, he'll burst into flames or something. But he just takes a deep inhalation of air and then walks a few paces behind whoever goes first.
Who goes first?
Yeah, definitely me.
Okay. And following
Yeah,
behind,
I'll
I'm assuming
bring
is
up the
Jax.
rear.
Okay. And you guys begin traveling through the corridors. Now, even in here, it's at least because you go through those massive corridors, and this is like a mile of walking, and you see as you're walking, there's plenty of more murder holes, plenty of traps, because this is a place. The upside is full of chaos. You want to make sure the people who are here want to make sure that nothing passes through. And eventually, you do see the odd Duardin or two. So many of them on station on guard for in case anything passes by. Some of them looking at you and nodding. A few of them looking weirdly at Malgor. None of them, as far as you can tell, with anger or anything, but just weird looks. You continue on and you go toward more security stations, and eventually you go to the wider, massive hall, which is basically just a series of underground homes where various peoples live. Fire Slayers, Caradrons. You would think that they would separate out, but that seems at the time somewhat inefficient. So basically, their home, it's like various homes, but like if they're predominantly Caradron Overlord, their stylings there. If it's predominantly Fireslayer, their stylings there. If it's predominantly some dispossessed, their stylings there of what their former clan hold was like.
Kind of a shanty town.
Sort of a shanty town. Even after a few centuries, it still has a shanty town feel to it.
Because we refused to move. We were here first. I was here first. Oh, you're going to wait me out. There's nicer homes over there. Nuh-uh. I will die for this home. This is my ancestors' home. You literally moved in 2 weeks ago. It is now my home.
And as you continue on, yeah. And where do you go? Do you guys go immediately to the Conclave of Rust, which is like the main basic ruling council, or do you go to a tavern? What do you guys do as you enter
tavern?
No, not going to tavern. Like, if David starts heading off that way, I'm going to reach out and grab his shoulder and then nod with my chin towards where this Conclave of Rust is.
But Malgor, we
Get
need
the drink.
not necessarily about a drink, but getting a lay of the land about what we're walking into. If it turns out that the company of elders, you know, a lot of cop cars going by my apartment, just a lot of them. If the company of elders has decided that they are antagonistic to us, maybe
then we would already be dead. Come along.
Probably would have sent out assassins. Very true.
Exactly. And I'm half-heartedly like keeping my hand on your shoulder, pulling you towards the Conclave of Rust. But if you want to break free, you probably could.
No, Garnet's not going to break free. He knows where you're coming from, but he mumbles, "None of you understand how politics work. They can kill us without killing us."
I am
And I'll go.
dead.
Of course.
Because when you die in the Rustlands, you really die in the Rustlands.
And you basically travel on through more of this shanty town and goes towards a corner and through a door into a large series of corridors into a large chamber. Guarded by several guards. And in this chamber are three large stone seats, each holding a representative of one of the factions in the Underrot. For the Fire Slayers, it's Runefather Urag Cragcloak. For the Caradron Overlords, it's Captain Mirma Shatterbrow, I apologize. And for the Dispossessed, it's Representative Vibrick Copperchest.
Vibrick, as in a V?
Vibrik.
So my person is
Urag
old
Cragcloak, yep.
Old grandfather type. Dan's is a woman.
Yep, Mirma Shatterbow.
And Dave's is, you said, what was his name?
Vibrick Copperchest.
Great, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
As soon as I enter, I go right to the center, right in front of the thrones, and immediately kneel, keeping my head down so not to disturb them with my unearned gaze.
You see that the Runefather expects it. You see that the other two look a little uncomfortable because that's not their thing.
Oh, no. Yeah, they don't understand. It's been like 6 days since the last reckoning. There's a sign.
Yeah.
It's been this many days since the last reckoning.
Yep. How do the other two of you enter the room?
Jax stomps in his armor, and as soon as he sees the captain, he kind of stops short, stands up a little bit straighter, and shoots off a sharp salute.
She nods.
Excuse me. Garnet walks in, smiles, happy to be in a setting that doesn't involve murderous machines originally designed for agriculture.
Yes.
And plague bearers, and smiles and nods at everyone.
Give me a second. I think we just lost video for a second. What the heck? And we're back. Sorry about that, listeners. Hopefully you can see our, well, I'm not sure about me, but the rest of these pretty faces. So, where were we? Right. So, you guys went up the screen. The various representatives in front of them. Okay.
Yes.
And you hear Urag Cragcloak, stand up. You are required to, and then you hear Vibrick Copperchest go like, no, you are required to, and then you hear Mirma Shatterbrow go, oh, here we go again. As you see the Rune Father and the representative basically each trying to talk to you at the exact same time.
Oh boy. That's yeah, okay. So Copperbuckle just smiles and looks at all of them and quietly has a small fucking panic attack as he doesn't know who he should be listening to.
Mulgar, there is a deep rumbling within his stomach, almost like a growl, and he is glaring at Copperbuckle or the representative, Copperchest, as if he knows he's not allowed yelling at him because he is higher station. But the Fire Slayers have a hard time understanding completely why they can't scream at people when they are disrespecting the Rune Father. That's almost an inherited thing that boils their blood. But he is just sitting there gritting his teeth, and there's a deep growl coming from him as the man tries to interrupt the Rune Father.
Give me an intimidation roll.
One success. In the meantime, Jax is just sharing a look with the captain and doing, they're both rolling their eyes. Like, can you believe these guys?
Yep.
Is it soul or mind?
Soul for this.
1 to 6.
All right. You see Vibrick starting to then look at you and then just like, well, I of course will let the Rune Father discuss this with you honorably. I'm going to sit down now and just goes back to the chair.
Thank the stone. That could have gone on for hours.
And you see the Rune Father. The Rune Father is like a large, at least for a Duardin, very stocky man. Scars all over his body. A bright red, thick beard that goes down to his navel. And he.
So I'm guessing played by Ron Perlman.
It's Ron Perlman.
Not played by. It is.
It is Ron Perlman. Every once in a while, he goes to another dimension to be a movie star, but this is his real home. And you see Duardin Ron Perlman go up to you, and actually walk up to Malgor and go put a hand on his shoulder and goes, "War never changes."
God damn it!
Thank you. Now, and he steps back. We apologize for calling you early. And he looks at Malgor, or at all. But he gives you a look of like, a true apology look, like you weren't supposed to be here, but circumstances. But we have come upon a situation. At the Quicksilver Quagmire. Now, all of you know of the Quicksilver Quagmire. During the Age of Myth, centuries, if not 1,000 or more years ago, there was some sort of event that is now lost to history. Calls a group of Duardin, some Fire Slayers, some what is now called Dispossessed, but were back then part of the Khalasid Empire. They were fighting some sort of enemy. And during that battle, everyone there, at least as far as can be seen, were sort of frozen in time. In some sort of, they call it the Quicksilver Quagmire, but it is a metal, but it's not necessarily Quicksilver. It just sort of looks like it, where they were essentially frozen in time. And it's a clear material that people can see through for like several yards of these frozen Duardin. People have tried to tap into it. No sort of arms or sort of pickaxe can go through it. And every once in a while, if you're unlucky, you get sucked into it and become one of those frozen statues. So people have not.
Okay.
People look into it. People have not tried bother going into it for a while.
Okay, so that's the opener to a real bad conversation for us.
Yeah.
My character immediately thinks like, we could have taken those plague bearers. There were only, 2, 3? We could have taken them.
Yeah. Okay.
It has been noticed around that area that various lights and energies have been glowing from it. We have been unsure what it was. and we, of course, cannot get close. Through the rumblings of the earth, we have discovered something strange. Near there, if you go through the underground, you notice what has been recently uncovered. A large, one could call it door portal, that leads further into the quagmire from the underground. Any Duardin that gets close is racked with pain. And it is discovered by some of our learned scholars here that these energies may be related to the Soulbound contract. Now, what some of you do know is that the Soulbound is a thing that was from the Age of Myth and it was now lost. But at least according to the Duardin of your clan, the Fire Slayers and the Dismissants that came here, you guys were familiar with it back in the day. We believe that people who are perhaps soulbound can enter this door and see what's beyond. If there is some energies now flowing there, we must find out what it is and perhaps either save the people, the Duardin that are there, or if some outside force is there trying to do something, prevent them from doing it. Us Duardin cannot go in, but the Soulbound can. We theorize.
You theorize.
What's the percentage of certainty on this?
Well, what's your percentages on most of your Soulbound missions?
Yeah, 50-50 at best.
No, that's actually quite generous, Jax. But
Our life is for you. We will throw ourselves at this door.
And that's why it's 50-50 at best.
Very well. The trek is long. It will be 3 days traveling underground through Gloomspite territory. If you are careful, you should be fine until you reach that door.
I assume we know what a Gloomspite is, and we don't like it.
Yes, basically in this...
It's like running into your ex at a party. It's just the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, they're essentially goblins, but they're called grots in this universe.
Ooh, can they have mushrooms growing on their heads?
They do actually have mushrooms growing out of their heads. Look up, listeners.
Are they delicious? Is there an entire economy or like job where you just harvest mushrooms?
Yes.
I fucking love
I'm not
this.
kidding. Look up Gloomspite Gits. They're all mushroom based. They're like,
I love it. They sound like fun guys.
God damn it! You're not going to outdraw me every time, Billy. Billy the kid, son of a bitch. God, I was right. I was just starting the car. You are already halfway there.
Mm-hmm. But it's Gloomspite Git territory, and they're constantly fighting with your group of your Duardin in your basic shantytown areas.
Mm-hmm. All right, then let's. My character is ready to go.
Mm-hmm. There are also like a lot of them because they're goblins and they breed like a son of a. But yeah,
mushrooms. So, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So you have to go through their territory. For now, we will lead you through the direct path tomorrow. Today, rest. Perhaps catch up. Perhaps relax.
Yes, relax. Before wading through mushroom demon territory into a door that may just be the direct pathway to death. Since we have the audience of the council,
yes,
and therefore I'm going to hazard a guess the blessing of the council. Is the council going to offer us the required necessities to make this journey, including any sort of worst case scenario provisions?
I was in the impression you were soulbound. That was your mission, to go into dangerous and always be prepared. Are you not prepared?
Oh, I was under the impression that the council wanted this to succeed. We will get it done. If there's, and my character somewhat dumbly looks around, I'm sorry, we haven't been here for all of the economic debates and whatever is happening with our glorious industry. If this is something that is not Is this on the list of reckonings? Because if it's not on the list of reckonings, then I understand that it's probably a subpar reckoning. Maybe we could you know what? It's fine. It's fine. We are just travelers here to possibly go to a door that no one else in the city can go to. If you can't spare the rations, we don't want to ask.
Give me a guile roll.
Okay, I don't have guile. I got mind. And cool. So let's do this.
Don't you have rolls? Yeah, one of your abilities is diplomacy based, correct?
Mm-hmm. And I was just looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And that means diplomat. You have advantage on opposed tests when it comes to resolving a conflict. Gauge other people's moods and intentions and tell if people are aligned. So I'm going to gauge mood and intention effectively.
Okay, so basically, instead of I'm going to say 1 success, you'll need 1 success, and instead of a 4, it's going to be a 3. Are you freaking kidding me?
You roll a 1.
No.
Okay.
My phone. I'll show you guys later. Anyways, so what's the difficulty? I'm sorry.
Just a 3.
Okay.
Roll your brains.
Yeah, I got a 5.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that the Rune Father is just thinking about saying something snarky. He's like,
When I'm directing this to the Rune Father, the same way that my friend and confidant, Malgor, spoke to my elder.
I didn't speak to
You
your
want to
elder.
intimidate?
I just growled.
You want to talk to my elder like that? I will do the same to yours.
We assume
But I'll
that's
use
how you
my
talk,
fancy $5 words.
Rune Father grumbles a little bit, sort of that same sort of sound that Malgor had. And then he goes like, we'll see what we can scrounge up.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your time. Do you two have anything you want to say? Jax, Malgor?
Speak
Frank.
like a human, constantly and quick. It is infuriating.
I could always use some extra provisions and a good old nap before this, so I'm good.
I will pack my own lunch. Yeah, Mulgar stands up, and as soon as he's dismissed, he's just walking pretty much out of this chamber, finds the nearest bench and sits down and just remains there. Or that's what he's going to do. You guys can assume. Mulgar's not allowed really back here, so he doesn't really have any place to go until he will sit here all night, pretty much.
He's pulling an Assassin's Creed. We walk out like, where'd Mulgar go? You're just sitting like perfectly still. He was right here. He was right fucking here.
He has mastered the art of standing perfectly still.
But yeah, you guys definitely see Mulgar just kind of floundering a little bit as he leaves. No, doesn't really know what to do, and then just walks over to like a stone bench and sits down.
Mm-hmm. Now, Malgor, there is one place you do know you could go. The crypts.
Where everybody knows your name.
Cheers. Yeah, there's definitely like an inner debate in Mulgar's head before he finally stands up, and without a word, he just leaves you folks. He's heading off somewhere.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm going shopping for a bit. Just getting some supplies, bullets,
Shopping.
whatever.
Nice. Garnet?
I'm going with Malgor.
Okay.
Because Garnet and Malgor seem to have some sort of like a friendly disagreement about each other's clans, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
I talk too much, and
You've completely misread the entire situation. He hates
Yes,
you.
sir.
We have this like friendly disposition where it's back
Which
and
is-
forth, and Mulgar just has these fantasies of just chopping off your head every time you talk.
Mulgar's just like,
It's-
I will kill him.
yeah,
will
and that's
die by my
perfectly
hand.
acceptable for Garnet Copperbuckle. No one hates me. That's insane. We just
It's like that's such a Mulgar thing to say.
yeah, it's like, oh my god, that's so Mulgar. Great show. Anyways, so no, he's gonna follow Mulgar because reading the room and realizing like, no, his fellow soulbound is in a town that is at best indifferent to him, which is an insult to his honor, and at worst hostile to him, in which case he's worried that someone or Malgar will try to find someone to kill or have him killed.
So yeah,
Okay, so-
I'm going to pretend that I don't know what David's following me, because Mulgar would absolutely stop him. But right now he's pretty focused, and David is supposed to have a lot more stealth, usually. Unless he rolls a 1 again.
I would try to roll stealth, but I think I might get attacked by those goddamn plague bearers all of a sudden.
You followed him here.
Ow! You rolled 4 1s. It was super easy.
All right, yeah. So you guys continue on, and Jax, you just go shopping. Is there anything specific you're looking for?
I don't know. I don't know what people sell in this.
A shopping montage, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Julia
you know what?
Roberts, you, and Richard Gere are just all going to shopping.
Did we lose Dan?
Such a good shout.
I think we lost
Or
Dan.
he's just smiling creepily. He's like,
No, he's just doing what Billy's character was doing, which is just awkwardly sitting perfectly still, hoping that no one notices. And oh boy, howdy, have we noticed?
So, Jax, I'm gonna go with Malgor and Garnet.
Yes, please.
So you think of what side of shopping montage you have, while we do that. So, Malgor, you take
material girl.
you take the winding steps down towards the crypts, through numerous levels of other fire slayers who have died honorably in battle for Urgold, for the lodge, fighting his various foes. And you go into finally find a small plaque, and next to the plaque is, of course, an eternal flame, a small one, but it's beautiful nonetheless. And you see the familiar name. What is the name there?
The name is Grilda Torchbearer.
You see the name of Grilda Torchbearer, your wife.
Malgar stares at the flame intensely with a mixture of like what looks like hatred and absolute anger. And then there's that deep rumbling of that growl again coming from, deep inside him. And then he reaches out with a hand and holds it over the flame and slowly lets it cook at the flesh of his hand until he finally jerks his hand back. And there's a deep shame almost that he was not, able to just let it consume him and completely and like burn him to a crisp. Mm-hmm. And he just falls to a knee and presses his forehead to the plaque.
And as you're there with your forehead to the plaque, you hear, "Not even your forehead is worthy of touching it."
He stands up immediately and spins around.
You see the familiar form of Loganor. Loganor. Your wife's brother, your brother-in-law.
Immediately, Malgar lowers his eyes and falls to a knee. Again, he's not worthy enough to look upon another fire slayer.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing here? You've already broken one oath. You're going to break another by coming back, Doom Seeker?
The Ruined Father summoned me. I still have enough honor to answer his beckons.
He kicks you in the chest. Pushes you back.
Nope, my character absolutely falls on his side, rolls, and just holds his chest. There's a deep, almost a crack. He definitely feels a crack in his rib, but he doesn't respond. Yeah. He just kind of gets back onto his knees and stares down and just waits.
The only one who thought you were worth a damn is dead and you weren't there to die with her.
There's no response. He just keeps on looking down. David?
I was just going to say there's a split screen of when the dwarf kicks Malgor Stone Breath in the chest hard enough to break ribs, and it's just of a pistol held behind a well-dressed dwarf, my character, and he just pulls the flint back and just holds it behind him ready to shoot this guy. But he's like in the shadows just watching this, but this is where he's like, yeah, that's all he does.
Okay. And you see Loganor looking at you, spits in front of you and walks away.
And Mulgar remains still until the footsteps of his former brother-in-law are nothing but memories. Mm-hmm. And then he stands to his feet, takes in a deep breath before turning back towards that plaque and placing one hand against it very delicately, which is something that definitely David's character probably has never seen from Malgar, of all people. He's as delicate as a wild plague bearer. And with that, Mulgar looks around, finds like a mourning bench that they have, like a stone little bench, and he sits down and right in front of it and just stares at that plaque, and he will stare there until he is summoned for the mission tomorrow, unless spoken to.
All right.
Nope. Garnet's gonna allow his compatriot to grieve and just quietly walk away.
Malgar plays Snake on his cell phone.
Jax?
I mean, I don't know what the equipment list looks like, so I'm just gonna. It's mostly just
rope. Get a rope.
Yeah, 10-foot pole and a rope. Yeah, he's. I mean, he's honestly just picking up all. While these guys are having their emotional journeys, he's quite. And after seeing that the council, as he kind of expected, because he knows how budgets work, and, are not giving them jack shit. He's going around and making himself useful by actually picking up supplies. So he's grabbing like food, and, water skins, and just they've been traveling for a while anyway, just getting all those refills. Refilling ammo.
You know what?
For weapons.
For kicks, like we're gonna look at equipment to see what you can grab.
I have 45 spheres or drops or whatever.
It's basically globes of water.
Yeah.
That's a common currency. But we're not gonna worry about that too much right now. So I'm just gonna.
I assume I can't buy like extra power armor with 45.
No, you cannot.
Drops, whatever those are. So yeah.
No, yeah, that's here's the thing. Character and Overlord equipment is very specific for basically you have to build it up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, what do you think you need? Ooh, that's nice.
I'll take that, whatever that was.
How about this? I'm gonna look through this as we're playing, and I'll decide what you get. Something I'll guarantee it's something useful.
No, works for me.
Okay, cool. So you have a shopping montage of you going to the various stores trying to figure out what you need for this particular trip. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then with that out of the way, Garner, are you doing anything besides looking at Malgor be sad?
Yeah, I'm going. Well,
I could look at Malgor be sad all day.
Often do.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when I said that fun guy line? I wanted to be the fun guy.
Amazing. I love it. My character's going to start drifting towards the tavern, and then his eyes are going to drift off down the street towards a residential area. And just before he enters the threshold of a place that he knows is going to be a good time, he starts wandering on down towards his home.
Yep. You walk down a couple of streets and eventually see the nice 2-story home, your home that you grew up in. Mm-hmm. You're in front of the door. And you hear the familiar, lovely argument between your two mothers.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I'm sure a Grot got in here. There is no way a Grot got in here. He would have been killed instantly. It's like, no, a Grot is in here somewhere. It's stealing my stuff. No one's taking your stuff. Who wants your stuff anyway?
And it cuts to Garnet as he hears this down the street, as he deftly jumps into another person's garden, picks 2 bundles of equivalent flowers, glass flowers. I don't know what we would have down here. Gems. I don't know.
Yep.
Oh no, it's bioluminescent bloom.
Lichen. Yeah,
nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
And so then I bundle those up in some spare cloth rags that I have in my bag. Mm-hmm. And then holding both of them, I slowly knock on the giant stone door.
Okay. All right. Open the door. It's going to be a Grot. It's not going to be a Grot. And you hear the door open. And you see, what's the name?
On behalf of Grots everywhere, I'd like to offer you these bouquets.
Okay. What is the name of one of your mothers?
My mothers are named Dwyla, but the A as an umlaut. I don't know how that works. I just wanted it.
You see,
and Bethany.
Okay, so you see Dwyla, one of your mothers. shortish for Duardin with lightish skin, completely bald with a scar from her eye all the way a little bit down her cheek, look upon you. For a split second, frozen in shock. Then a huge smile breaks. She comes in and just gives you a massive hug. Oh, my boy! And you hear behind you your mother. What's your mother's name? Sorry.
My mother's name is Bethany.
And you see her, Bethany. Bethany.
Because I refuse to do too many fucking fantasy names.
You see Bethany, a darker-skinned Duardin woman with long hair that's in massive braids that goes down to her shoulders. And with all over the braids, there's these various trinkets that are in the shapes of hammers and anvils.
Nice.
Yeah, she stumps forward. Is like, is that the Garnet? Let him go. Let the boy go.
It was.
And why lets you go? So that Bethany can hug you. And then she eventually lets you go when you're almost out of breath. What are you doing here? I thought you were doing soulbound things, says Bethany.
I am, but everyone else is busy being depressed. And then I shut the door to end the scene.
And there's a happy family reunion happening.
I want you to know Dan's not depressed. He's shopping. And it's like a hot topic with like sad music playing.
You've never seen him stress shop before. He's just purchasing his feelings.
And that's how you guys spend a night shopping, sadly looking at a plaque with family. And it is the next morning as you're all gathered together on the exit towards the lower tunnels. Who arrives there first?
Oh, Mulgar. I mean, he's pretty much just stays up all night and sleeps a little bit on this bench, but he's not comfortable. So eventually he's going to look for any excuse to finally climb up those stairs and wait for these people. And of course, seeing that they're not there early, like an hour early, he's angered and pissed by the time the last person arrives. Probably even early. They probably arrive like 15 minutes early. He's like, I've been here all night.
Okay. So you're homeless.
Weird flex. Okay.
I have nowhere to go. Why do you? Oh God, there's a lot to unpack there, Malgor. Oh boy, it's gonna be a long trip.
But I did have time to work on my stand-up. So okay, two men walk into a bar. Okay, it's not
Jax.
And Jax, as usual, arrives last.
Okay.
Armor clanking.
Nice.
So you hear him coming.
So you're wearing like heavy armor?
He's got this like Caradron armor. It's like some kind of dwarfy power armor because it gives me extra body or something.
Yep.
Yeah, it makes him like a giant, like 5'11".
Yeah.
I love it. All right, cool.
All right, so this is where we're gonna break for the night.
Yeah, this is listeners or watchers. I forgot this is on YouTube now. This is where we're gonna break for night. So yeah, so you guys start walking into the tunnels, and that's where our story ends for now.
Or depending if they were wrong about us being able to go in there forever.
Forever. No, yeah, there was a very depressing last night on Earth.
Yeah, and we're gonna have our next session whenever we can plan it. So hopefully, watchers, you've liked what you've seen so far. We'll have another. So anyway, see ya.